Lori as a mother, now you'll hear about growing up with Lori as a friend. Just a little bit of background. Jayne Smiley Studmeyer and Lori Gregg, that was Lori's maiden name, grew up the best of friends, in part because their fathers were comrades in public education. Both of their fathers were administrators in the East Detroit school system, and my mother was a school teacher there, and my father was a school board attorney. And so we all lived within 3 blocks of each other, and we were sort of a triangle. So we picked our friends. Cathy, on the other hand, over here, wasn't quite so lucky. She inherited Lori. Their mothers were sisters. So as a youngster, when you think about Lori's personality, it was evident and anchored by 2 very dominant characteristics: determination and fun. In short, you could say Lori was determined to have fun. So when you go to Lori's house now, and you've all been there, you might wonder why there's always candy on the counter. Well, it's learned behavior and it's genetic behavior, I have to tell you. Because at her house, Lori's mama kept a candy cupboard. And it went quite well with the cases of Faygo that we had in the basement that her father kept for us. And whenever you went to Lori's house, you snuck into the candy cupboard. And you were sure to get some really, really good sugar. The cupboard had an array of goodies, and no one was very concerned about gluten-free, peanut allergies, tooth decay. It didn't exist back then. Way back then. So ingrained was our quest for candy that it occupied much of our playtime, as you can imagine. For example, one year Lori and I went trick-or-treating, and she went as a refrigerator box. and we were about, 5 or 6 blocks into it when we realized we were rather tired, but she couldn't sit down. But even more despairing was the fact that with her arms out on the refrigerator box, she could not reach the candy in her basket. I taunted you all night long. And then there was the time her very generous father gave us $5 to go to the movies. There was a movie theater not too far from our house. And now remind you, in those days, movies were a quarter. So $5 was going to buy a lot of candy. And back then, Jawbreakers were 2 for a penny. We bought $1 worth. And then they went all over the aisle, and we missed most of the movie because we were chasing Jawbreakers down the aisle. But the best part was when her dad came to pick us up and asked us for the change to the $5, and we said we ate it. We spent a fair amount of time at 2 famous eateries on Gratiot. One was Lou's Party Store, and the other was Bomarito's Bakery. Now, I don't know, Bomarito's is still in existence on the east side, but the standard operating procedure for us on a Saturday was to find some loose coins in one of our mother's purses. Of course, we didn't tell about that either. And we'd take our bikes up to Lou's, and we'd get pretzels 2 for a penny, fake cigarettes were 5 cents a pack, Butterfingers candy bars were 5 cents, licorice was a penny, and we'd, bundle up all of that, and we'd eat all of that, and then we'd swagger down to Bomarito's. You know where this is going. One of Lori's finer moments. We didn't get it on camera. So there we are, we're down at Bomarito's, and we sat down at the counter. Now, we had to plan accordingly. This was when we learned fiscal responsibility, because ice cream cones were 10 cents. So if you only had a quarter, there was only so much candy you could get at Lou's because you had to save the 10 cents for the ice cream cone at Bomarito's. And they had the best, and still have the best, lemon ice in town. And so we plopped ourselves down at that counter on a hot summer day, and we ordered 2 ice cream cones, and as the poor little server turned around and handed them to us, Lori blew lunch all over the counter. I kid you not. So she went in the bathroom, wiped her face, grabbed the cones, went outside, and ate them. I am happy to report that our teenage years were a little less focused on the candy palettes and a little more discerning because, of course, we were chasing boys. And learning to ski and learning to play tennis and learning to play the piano and chase boys. And get into football and into tennis and chase boys. And we have quite a few stories about that, but we didn't want to steal anybody else's thunder because we know there are many people on the docket tonight for you. But then we got to college, and the 3 of us and Lori were all roommates in college. We shared dorm rooms, apartments, we shared campus. We didn't share boys, we chased boys. We didn't share boys. We had many boy sagas. We had theater productions, we had a piano in our apartment, We hid people from time to time. They came in the front door, went out the back door. Football, lifeguarding. That's when we met Bill, and we met Mo, and then we met Bill, and then we met Bill again. Believe it or not, Bill was our boss. And I have to tell you, one of my greatest moments in time is when I took my lifeguard test and pulled that man off the bottom of the Fuller Park pool. All 20 pounds of me at the time. But we were very strategic about our lives in college, and mind you, because of our families, we had to be very consistent in the lies that we sent home about what college was like in America. When Lori turns 70, we will tell you about college life, because that's a little R-rated. None of us are old enough for that right now. But we have shared, the four of us, decades of love and laughter. Lori has been our own personal Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, Ethel, and even Fred. We have laughed much, we have cried some, and we will laugh much, much more to you, my girlfriend.
Hi, I'm Cathy. I'm Lori's cousin. And as you have heard, Jayne, Tracy, and I and Lori all grew up together. We went to college together, we lived together, we celebrated life's joys together, and also life's sorrows. And we have always been there for each other. It is a unique and precious friendship to each of us, and Lori has always been the glue that held us together. I, on the other hand, have no problem relating the R-rated version of some of Lori's antics, but you know, we don't really have enough time. So I won't mention the time that Lori recorded one of us having sex and then played it in the courtyard of West Quad. Over the time that Lori, Tracy, and I went to Florida for spring break, and Lori opened the door, butt naked, nude, to a strange man, and for once she was speechless. Or, on that same trip, we somehow ended up with 10 guys from Villanova staying in our room. Villanova will always be very dear to our hearts.
Always vote for them in basketball.
Yeah. And then there was the time she packed a suitcase full of my clothing, unbeknownst to me, and took it to this guy's apartment I had this ginormous crush on. And left me there, and then a few minutes later, the doorbell rang, and she said, "Oh, Cathy forgot her suitcase." I never saw him again, and I've never forgiven her.
Sorry about it.
And of course, probably the worst thing she ever did to me was the time I was having my husband's parents over for the first time for Thanksgiving dinner. I was so nervous. I had never cooked dinner. You know, I was like 22 years old. And Lori had helped me with the menu and everything. And so we're really nervous cooking this dinner, and I get this phone call, and it's Detroit Edison telling me that the power's going to be turned off. And I believed it. And went absolutely ballistic. I'm not forgiving you. And we all learned to stay clear of her on April Fool's Day. Well, yeah, almost any day. And you know, it's really annoying that the girl we lived in with college that could only cook SpaghettiOs in a pan and practically burn down our apartment became such a fabulous cook. She killed every plant in our apartment, and yet, look at her deck. And I have to tell you, it wasn't easy being Lori's cousin. My mother thought she was the golden child. Lori could do no wrong. I would tell her these horrible things, and she didn't believe me. She never believed me. Oh, Lori would never do that. It is like one of the greatest frustrations of my life that my mother never believed me. So, but yes, Lori has always been determined to have fun, and thank God she took us along for the ride. She has been there every step of the way to torment us, to love us, support us, and make us laugh. So here's to you, Lori Cat.
All right, we're making her do it.
I don't know if Rich is saying some of these stuff because it's in the list, but I always call these Lori's truisms. Lori's truisms.
Oh, God.
Like, you can never be in Lori's company for very long without talking about farts. She also can get you to do things you never dreamed you would do. But she always could make you laugh, even if you were steaming mad at her. And she played more practical jokes on me than I think just about anyone, except maybe her children. I've had all my shoes tied together. I've had my toothbrush dipped in peanut butter. I've been papered into my dorm room, pennied into my dorm room.
Taped.
Short sheeted, bubble gum all over my favorite little duty bird. Coming home from a late night of studying to find her in bed with my boyfriend as a joke. Terrible cook. Remember, she made biscuits, and if you threw them at the wall, it would chip the plaster. She turned all of my underwear green, trying to do laundry. And like I say, she got me to do a lot of things I would never dream of doing, but it all really enriched my life. She's my very best friend, and I love her.